All right, this is part 4 of our 5-part series.
We just watched The Legend of 1900.
Yeah,
Definitely a top tier movie.
Yeah, it was one of the most entertaining and engaging movies I've ever seen in my life. It's solid 3 hours. Definitely recommend watching it.
All right, so let's just cut to the chase. What are you giving this one? I'm gonna say dotted coordinate.
From what I actually watched, I give it like a 16th note.
Definitely like a double whole note. You know those with like the 2 lines on the end. That's it. It's 200% movie. Best movie I've ever seen.
Tim Roth really sells the performance.
There was a total of 2 good scenes in the movie.
I'd say one.
I mean, here's the thing, right? It was a movie that like I could tell I'd really enjoy, like in the right situation with the right people. Like I don't know, but right now, no. It is way too. It is 3 hours. This thing could have easily been an hour long.
Or you could have cut this up, like you said.
Yeah, like I said,
into like a show or something.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good like TV show almost. I mean, the plot happens. It's all connected, but there's like individual things going on. You know, there's the beginning where
it literally
they find him on the boat. There's
it literally follows his life. Like
right, like they could easily
like
break it up
TV
into
show.
It seems like, I don't know. I don't think so, but it seems like this was a book translated to a movie. I'm pretty sure it wasn't, and they just didn't want to cut anything.
Yeah, it was not gonna lie, like it was kind of rough to sit here and watch all that.
It was painful.
Yeah.
It
was just like you got to the beginning. The beginning was pretty easy to follow, and you're like, okay, like all right, this kid was just left on a boat for absolutely no reason. Like someone straight up forgot him or just left him there. So like from the beginning, you're just already asking to yourself, what's going on? And then it's really boring. The guy who takes care of him ends up dying, of course, right?
Spoilers.
Yeah. So now this happens like in the first half hour, but you realize when you put your mouse over the screen that there's like still 2 more hours of movie to go. So you're just like, oh wow. Yeah, and then by the time you get like about halfway through the movie, he's an adult now, and they out of nowhere he just kind of becomes a piano god. It's weird. I don't know.
There were parts they could have definitely cut down. Like, okay, perfect example. There's a scene that's really cool. I really like it, where the narrator meets the boy we're talking about, because he's the main character. His name's 1900. The narrator meets him, and the narrator's seasick. It's like his first time on the boat, and 1900, who's grown up on the boat, sits him down at the piano, takes the brakes off of the piano, and like they roll around the piano room, and like while he's playing, this like crazy waltz. And that's a really cool scene. But it goes on. It felt like for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They could have. There's so many things in this movie they could have shortened like dramatically, and because they spend like 10 minutes explaining, like I don't even know explaining it, but like people just saying pretentious dialogue. You know, it definitely could have been cut down.
Yeah, everything was like all the dialogue was trying to be, you know, in depth and thought provoking, but it was just so boring that I couldn't help to check my phone. It was just
and that's what I'm saying. That's why I think it almost sounds like this would have been a better book, because like that's the thing people like in books, you know, is to sit there and like read 5 pages about why the ocean is like this or that. You know what I mean? It's just, but it was painful to sit through.
Yeah, it's like it instead of trying to, you know, be brief like a movie would,
right?
And then on the one side you have like a movie which is somewhat brief and it kind of summarizes in a sense what might happen, let's say in a book.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a book which actually, let's say, goes fully in depth. This is kind of like in between, and it's
so
Like
Whoa.
Jack just finished his nap. I don't even think he watched the last.
Whoa, definitely. Okay, I might have napped through like the last 15 minutes. I already read the summary. I know what happens. That's what I'd recommend. Go on YouTube if you want to see this movie. Go on YouTube, watch. You actually know, watch the first hour of the movie. Go on YouTube, look up 1900 versus Jelly Roll Morton, and then read the summary for the last bit.
Yeah, all you need to see is the piano duel, which happens between those two. That's
Alright.
That's a really good
So
scene.
that's a good segue. What did you enjoy about this movie? Was it just the piano duel?
Yeah. That was pretty cool. I mean,
So those are really
I'm
cool.
trying to find something to like appreciate. The whole movie was set on this boat.
Yeah,
I mean,
the Virginian.
they're Virginian.
It's a really cool setting. It's almost like it is really like the Titanic, but it's like the 1920s. Was the Titanic 1920s?
Yeah, or something like. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
he
it
was
was.
born 1900. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like Titanic was like 1910s, right?
Oh, the Titanic. Sorry,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
1912 when I think it's sank.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So it's like the Titanic, but it's the 1920s. Like you can see it on the boat. Like there's flappers on the boat dancing around. They're all playing jazz music. Really cool stuff. It's a really cool setting, but I don't know, man. Like I keep coming back to the fact that it was way too long and hard to sit through.
Yeah. I don't know why, but like movies that are over 2 hours, I feel like if you're going to be over 2 hours, you have to be an action movie.
Well,
Because that's the only way to keep me engaged, at least.
I think it has to be at least something has to happen. Like we already like maybe it's my fault for reading the summary, but like nothing crazy happens in the last 2 hours.
Not at all,
He
except for the
almost
jelly roll.
yeah, something almost exciting happens. Like he almost gets off the boat at one point, but then he just doesn't.
Then he turns around, and then at the end he gives this really like stupid explanation as to why he can't get off the boat. And then you're just like okay, like I'm gonna go upstairs, grab a drink.
I like how we promised, or we said that we were gonna start talking about things we like, and then we went right back to hating on the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's dedicate this. What did you like about this movie? Go.
Okay. I mean, it was kind of like I think you could say the theme was losing yourself in music. I mean, can you like? Because he kind of loses himself in his craft playing the piano, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, we can talk.
Because it's relatable, but like
Okay.
the movie was so boring.
No. What you like about it? Come on.
Sorry, yeah. So he basically spends his whole life on a boat playing a piano, and it's kind of cool because we just talked about Whiplash. This dude had a similar scenario where he dedicated his life to learning his craft, but he was miserable. This guy enjoys it a little bit more, and it's kind of portrayed in a more positive sense that he is dedicating all of his time to playing piano. Well, just because he doesn't know how to do anything else. I don't know. It's just kind of it's okay. I get the like theme of it, but it's just not very entertaining to watch. It doesn't really go anywhere. And then it resolves with him getting no, seriously. It gets resolved with him getting blown to smithereens on the boat
Nice.
with like very bad CGI.
But hold on. But what did you enjoy about? Okay.
All right,
Maybe-
man.
let
There's
me start.
absolutely
Let me
nothing
start.
I like about this
Let
movie.
me start. Okay. The cinematography wasn't like it wasn't that bad. Okay. It was kind of boring at some points. The beginning was really cool. It starts out that they have some varied settings at the beginning. Like you start off in this cool because they show you the underbelly of the ship where all the workers and like coal workers are, like people shoveling coal.
It loses its novelty right away.
That's kind of a cool setting, and then you see a boat at night before anybody's ever like been there, and that's where they meet 1900, like as he's older, and then like you see the parties, and like there's a bunch of really cool settings in the beginning, and there's problems. The problem as it goes forward is that they lose their novelty, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I really did enjoy the settings at the beginning of it. I thought the story at the beginning was kind of cool because it was interesting. A boy who was just born and raised on a boat and knew nothing for his entire life, who becomes a crazy jazz musician just by listening to other people play.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And then, really besides that, the battle with Jelly Roll Morton is just, it's such a cool scene.
Yeah, that is a really cool scene.
That's really the only reason I wanted to watch this movie. But
we the cool thing about that scene was just like it's just a memorable scene. It's not anything crazy, but there's just like an outlandish part where he's playing a song, like he's dealing with this guy who apparently invented jazz.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a joke because
well, Jelly Roll Morton was like one of the figures of the Harlem Renaissance, even though he was never in New York. Don't tell anybody that. And he like, yeah, he's kind of like, he didn't invent jazz, but he was a huge ragtime pianist. I'm like, definitely.
Is he even real? Like,
yeah, he was real. Jelly Roll Morton.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
You should listen to his stuff. It's
okay,
really
well, when people say like who invented jazz, like typically it's kind of agreed upon that Louis Armstrong invented jazz.
good. Okay.
So I mean,
well, I mean, I think
I'll be honest, I never heard of Jelly Roll Morton.
it's one of those things where, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it didn't ragtime kind of turn into jazz. Wasn't that the idea?
Yeah.
So it's almost like, you know how people credit like Beethoven with starting the Romantic period, even though really he was a classical composer. But like as he got older in life, his like composing became less strict and more of his own, and he kind of developed the Romantic period.
Yeah.
Same thing I think with Jelly Roll Morton is the idea that he was just a ragtime pianist, but more and more his ragtime pieces and his songs like began to transform into like what sounds more like jazz. And you know, ragtime already sounds really similar to jazz.
I don't think so. I don't really care for ragtime.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's kind of like a blanket statement to say it sounds similar. They don't really sound alike. Ragtime is pretty distinct.
I think ragtime sounds more like jazz than blues sounds like jazz.
Well, okay, jazz comes from ragtime because of how it's felt. I mean,
that's fair. So you mean the more like swing? Like
yeah,
swing
exactly.
Ragtime?
And then like how nothing's really on beat and just anticipation and like the anticipation of the beat, or being kind of late and off the beat, all that stems from ragtime. But I wouldn't say it like transformed from ragtime, so to say.
Okay. Anyway, we're talking about this duel. So
Yeah.
the really cool thing about this duel is that it's three Jelly Roll Morton pieces. I only know two of them. The first one I'm not sure. I really like it though. I should probably figure out what it's called. The second one he plays is the Crave, and the last one's called the Finger Breaker. And it's basically how that goes: is Jelly plays a song, and then 1900 the main character plays a song, and they go back and forth like a piano duel. And they only play 3 pieces each. So after Jelly plays his first song, which is incredible, 1900 plays Silent Night.
Yeah.
After then Jelly is clearly like simultaneously confused and insulted, so he plays the Crave, which is fantastic. And then 1900 just plays the exact same song back at him.
Yeah. Oh no. He not only plays it verbatim how he played it too.
Oh yeah, including any
like all the ornamentation he threw in there too. He got it. Like he mimicked it exactly.
And then the last song, Jelly plays the Finger Breaker, and 1900 plays this crazy song, which honestly isn't that interesting, but like it's so insanely fast and like clearly technically difficult that he ends up winning, even though the first two he was just kind of joking around. Yeah. But it's such a cool scene. Like, pause this podcast right now and search it on YouTube. It's just really cool. And I saw like this cool theory, almost like, or not even a theory, it's just kind of a cool explanation that each response is a different insult to Jelly. So the first one is like, you're not playing anything special. By playing Silent Night is like, this isn't even that interesting what you're playing.
Yeah.
The second one is, you're not doing anything very hard. I can just redo what you're doing. And the third one, is that 1900 realized all the crowd was impressed by was how fast Jelly could play.
Yeah.
Rather than um, how interesting or melodically or harmonically complex his pieces are. It was just how fast he moves fingers, and that's what you can see in Finger Breaker. It's not that great of a song. And so in 1900's last song, he just goes completely nuts, and the audience goes crazy.
Yeah, no, it's the last song is it's. By the way, if you watch it, it's not actually real. You can't actually do that.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It seems like it's definitely one of those impossible piano videos.
Well, if you just listen to it, you can hear all the different parts going on the lower end register of the piano, and then the upper register. You would need 4 or 5 hands from what it sounded like. That was one thing I noticed. And I'm not a big fan, particularly of outrageous stuff, especially in movies that regard music. That's the one thing I felt like this movie was falling short on. It was, something the audience could relate to. I can't really find myself in his situation. Not like the past 3 movies that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing really there for me to hold on to and say, wow, I can relate with that. I think that was one of the major reasons it was kind of hard to follow and really just boring.
I agree. I mean, it's such an outlandish and unrelatable situation to be in.
Yeah.
Plus, it seems almost cheap that he's that good at the piano, because we've seen in, especially Whiplash, which we watched it last, is that people don't just get that good. You have to bust your ass practicing, and you have to. It's a constant struggle to be a really good musician, and The Legend of 1900 just kind of shows a guy who listens to a piano a lot, so he becomes a piano god.
Yeah, I didn't like that. That was one thing with all the time they spent, with how long this movie is, they did an awful job of developing the beginning and showing how he came to know, to becoming a good pianist.
For a movie that clearly tries to care so much about the music, it didn't show how he became a musician. Maybe that's not important to the movie, but
I think it's important.
But I think it's important.
Yeah,
I definitely think it's important to his character and the audience. Is even just a 10-minute montage of him first hearing the piano and then sneaking in there and busting out a few keys, and over time slowly getting it. Yeah, that would have helped so much. But it's completely unrelatable.
Yeah, I don't know. This movie was definitely one of the weakest. Actually, it is the weakest out of the 5 movies. We've already seen Grand Piano. We're gonna watch it again, but yeah, this movie definitely did not live up to the expectations.
Mm.
I saw the Jelly Roll Morton scene in 1900 scene a while ago. I just couldn't remember where, but when I heard it was from this movie, I was like, oh, we gotta watch it.
Right. I was really excited because I thought maybe the whole movie would be like this. It would be about, if it was about a piano prodigy, I don't know, even if it was about a prodigy doing interesting things, it would have been really cool. Interacting with jazz icons like Jelly Roll Morton, or I guess right. But anyway, he just doesn't do interesting things. I mean, that's really the most interaction, the musical interaction we see, and the most music we see from him. I mean, there's the beginning where we see him play a couple of pieces, and that shows to us that, wow, he's a really good musician, where he improvs a couple of ragtime songs, and then we hear closer to the end a recording he did, where he didn't want the recording.
Yeah, it was just kind of stupid. My music won't go anywhere with me.
Yeah.
I guess it was kind of. It's really hard to kind of review and talk about this movie, because by the time we got halfway through this movie, we were already kind of frustrated at how boring it was, and that kind of in a sense that kind of shifted our views, and we already had we were already watching this movie with a negative mindset, I guess, so to say.
Well, I came into it pretty positive. I mean, I was
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying by the time you got halfway there,
right.
we were already kind of annoyed and just bored of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out, well, there's an hour and a half left of this movie. And we're just like, you gotta be joking.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
And I don't mean to like. I don't mean
Actually, no, you can't.
Thanks, Ian. I don't mean to just hate on the movie, but what was the conflict? What was
Dude,
the,
I'm trying.
Who was the antagonist? What was the central like? Is it the ship people trying to blow up the ship?
Maybe it's like man versus nature. Like
man versus man. I mean, because the central conflict is he doesn't want to get off the boat. I guess. Like
yeah, I guess yeah.
Well, there's only one time that ever like really negatively affects him. It's when he meets a girl on the ship,
yeah,
but he doesn't want to get off with her. You know.
Yeah.
And that lasts for about 10 minutes. But, like...
That whole scene was stupid, too.
Yeah.
It's like, why is he... He's, like, halfway over the staircase, about to leave, and then he comes back on.
So that's... Besides that and the ending, where he doesn't want to get off, even though they're going to blow up the ship, that's the only time, like it actually becomes a conflict. The other times, you just kind of hear that he doesn't want to get off, and you're like, that's weird. But... It's not troubling enough for it to be like worried about the entire movie.
Yeah, I mean his whole reasoning was he's afraid to confront life on land, and his whole reasoning behind it, like I can't remember it because at this point when he was discussing it, I'm just like, all right, I'm kind of done. But well, yeah, it was just stupid.
I mean, dumb. Take a movie like Whiplash, right? Where the conflict of trying to succeed, trying to become the great and not like one of the greats and not, lose your mind, where that's kind of the conflict. That's throughout the entire movie, where every aspect of the movie is like building towards that, or something like La La Land, where the struggles in their relationship and, Ryan Gosling, like music career and Emma Stone's acting career, like that's every aspect of their relationship, every aspect of the plot is pointing back to that conflict. Like, this movie just doesn't have that. The conflict, it doesn't feel like it's important to the story. It just feels like a bunch of things happening,
Yeah. His whole reasoning to not leaving the land was he didn't know anything else, and if he left the ship, he would lose his talent, which was kind of, I don't know, it was just ridiculous a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's never like justified. It's never proven. He doesn't leave the ship at any point and lose his talent.
Yeah. He thinks he's going to. So you're just like,
well, and so even so, that's not a conflict.
Yeah.
That's just something to keep him on the ship. But there's still no conflict with him being on the ship.
No.
Like there's except for the end,
Yeah. I mean, and then he ends up getting blown up at the end, and you're like, man, that really sucks for this guy. It's like a real bummer.
That's how terrible it is. Like, I'm like rooting for this guy to get blown up.
Yeah. So yeah, we already gave it our rating based off our
true rating. I'm gonna say
tops
half note.
Tops, it gets a quarter note.
I'm gonna say half note. Look,
considering I watched most of it, it was horrible. It was so boring. It wasn't horrible, but it was just boring. I feel like I'd rather a movie be horrible than it be boring. Because if a movie's horrible, you can kind of laugh at it.
That's fair.
And then you can make jokes. But if a movie's kind of boring,
I'm gonna agree with you. Dotted quarter note. I'm gonna give that because I still think it's a good. I think if you strip away a lot of the BS, there's a really strong movie there. I mean, it's not written terribly. It's not acted terribly. It doesn't look bad.
No. Yeah, I mean, it was performed well. It's just kind of boring.
I'm saying if you keep maybe the first hour,
mm-hmm.
and then bits and pieces of the next 2 hours, you could have a movie that doesn't make me want to sleep through the second half.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
All right.
Tune in for
Our
last
podcast.
podcast in the 5-part series. We will be doing grand piano. Make sure to tune in.
See you guys.